and welcome back to day 2 of the Brand in Demand Bootcamp. Yesterday was so awesome. I had such a great time hanging out with you ladies. Today, we're going to talk about how to get clear on your brand messaging. So, if you're watching me live, let me know you're watching me live. If you're watching the replay, just type hashtag replay so that I know that you're watching the replay. So, I'm excited to dive into today because today is all about making sure your brand messaging is on point. So I talked to you a little bit yesterday about how important it is to make sure your brand messaging is clear. So we already know that there's so much going on in the world today. And even before there was all of this stuff that's happening right now, we were struggling to get the attention of the people who we're called to serve. Everybody is distracted, right? I talk about how I can be upstairs in my office and I go downstairs and I get to the kitchen and I'm like, what did I come down here for? And then I end up doing something different that's not what I initially went downstairs for. And so as a whole, we are distracted. And then throw in the pandemic and a whole bunch of other stuff that's going on. And it makes us even more distracted as people. And so, and as we go, you guys, like the attention span of human beings is getting shorter and shorter. So, another thing to consider is how much information we're getting hit with on a daily basis. Every single day, we're facing a lot of information, lots of advertisements. We're getting advertisements on our phones from Facebook and in our other. Hey, is this Natasha? We're getting advertisements from on our phones. We're getting advertisements on our computers. When we get on a computer and try to do something productive, we get advertisements when we're just driving down the street, right? I just saw an advertisement the other day, and there was a bus. Elizabeth, hey Elizabeth, there was a truck driving around, and it was a campaign for somebody's mayoral campaign. And so advertisements are everywhere. And so what's happening is, so what's happening is our attention is being pulled in every different direction. And we really have to learn as marketers how to deal with that, how to manage that. And so making sure your brand messaging is clear is going to cause the people who you're called to identify you as a person with the solution to their problem. And that's what you want. You want people to see what you do and say, oh my gosh, I need her. Oh my gosh, I need to work with her, or I need to follow her, I need to connect with her. And the thing is, it's not necessarily about how long you've been doing this. You could be brand new to coaching, right? Most of the time, we could be new to putting ourselves out there, but not necessarily new to what we're doing, right? So it's like, wait, I might be new to business, but I'm not new to this thing that I've been doing, right? This is a gift. This thing comes naturally to me. I'm passionate about this thing, so I'm not necessarily new to this thing. I'm just new to figuring out how to offer it as a service through a business. And that's something that you need to understand so that you can deal with that feeling or that fear of being new. I'm not necessarily new to this thing. I'm just new to figuring out how to provide this thing as a service through business. Okay. So when it comes to messaging, you really want to grab at the hearts of your ideal clients. And here's why that's so important, because we may not believe it or not, but we buy based off of emotion. Okay. We buy based off of emotion. Okay. It is just how humans are wired. When I bought these earrings, I said, "Ooh, those earrings will look so cute when I put them on." Right? So when I bought the earrings, I was buying based on how cute I think they will look when I put them on, right? So, but most of the time when we buy things, this is so true, and I want you to remember this. People buy based on emotion, and then logic kicks in. And this is why you get people who invest in a program and then thank you. Somebody said they're cute. Thank you so much. People buy based on emotion, and then the logic kicks in afterwards, right? Have you ever bought something and then you're like, oh, I should not have bought that? Like, that's because logic is kicking in. When you bought it, you were buying based off of emotion, and then you started thinking about it and you were like, why did I do that? This happens to a lot of people. Like, for example, they invest in like a program, or this is for you to understand and remember this. Okay. When you're selling, if you're not already selling, when you do start selling, this is something to keep in mind. When people invest in your programs and in your services, and then they talk to a friend, and their friend is like, "Well, that's too much. I wouldn't pay that. I wouldn't pay for that." Meanwhile, that friend does not understand what this person is going through and how much they want to change their lives, right? And so the friend says something, and now they're coming back like, "Well, I want a refund because I think I made a mistake." That's because the logic is kicking in. And this is why when you sell your products and your services, you have to find a way to make sure people know that they made a good decision. And what I usually do with that is I get started right away. Like when people invest with me, I jump right in and we get right to work immediately because I want you to know that you made a great investment. We're getting started right away. We're not waiting 2 and 3 weeks. Like soon as people invest, we're getting to work right away. Okay. So think about how you can make sure your customers are sure and they're certain that when they make that investment, they're like, yes, I'm in. This is what I'm going to be doing. Okay. So what happens is you really want to speak directly to the person who you want to attract. Otherwise, they're going to keep going because of there's so much stuff going on. And even when scrolling through social media, you have to compete with your ideal client's family and their friends and Miss Susie's new kitten and their cousin's new baby and their grandson going off to school, and you have to compete with all of that. So this is why it's so important to make sure your messaging is on point because you want to speak directly to your ideal client. You want them to be walking by or scrolling by and they see your message and they're like, "Oh my goodness." It just reaches out to them and it grabs them and pulls them into you, okay? So it's important to make sure your messaging is great, okay? Another thing too is that when it comes to branding your expertise, that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about branding your expertise. So I'm just flipping through my notes here. And so the first thing I want you to understand today is that being an expert is not about how much you know, okay? It's about how you position yourself, okay? It's not about how much you know, it's about how you position yourself. So if you've been feeling like, "Oh, I'm new, nobody's going to listen to me," that is a lie. Because I'm going to show you how to position yourself like a pro, even if you're brand new. Okay. You could be an expert in one thing and be seen as an expert. Even if you're an expert in one step, you're still an expert in that thing, right? So I think we've come when we think expert, we think of like a guru, like you have to know everything. And that's just not true. If you know one area or one piece of the puzzle, you're an expert in that thing. And your positioning is going to help your ideal clients to see you that way, okay? Because one thing that we have to really understand is that your brand is the promise that you make to your clients, right? However, the perception of your brand is not about you. It is about your ideal clients. It is about your audience, the people who are listening to you. Because if they're not getting it, then you're not doing something right, okay? The most important thing is what your ideal client or your audience is perceiving about your brand. Your brand lives in their minds, okay? And your positioning in their minds is what's going to make them want to buy, okay? I have a book right here. Let me just grab it. I have a book right here. This book is all about positioning, right? Positioning. And in this book, it talks about how important it is to really understand what's going on in your ideal client's mind. And so even when we think about so y'all know, like I love to teach. I also teach the scriptures. And so one of the things in the scriptures that we see happening is we see Jesus teaching people. He's going around and he's teaching, he's spreading the message of the kingdom. And so there's one point where he's teaching in parables. He's teaching in stories. And then he's saying things like, the kingdom of God is like this. The kingdom of heaven is like this. And what he's doing is he's teaching in a way that they can conceptualize it, but he's using things that they already understand so that they can understand what the kingdom is like. Okay? So if I tell you, so if you ask me, well, Shanta, can you tell me a little bit about what the Navy, your experience in Navy boot camp was like? I'm just making this up as I go along. So if I say to you, y'all, who's seen that movie? Okay, so I'll just use Major Payne as the example. That's a good example, right? So if I say, okay, so you know how on the movie Major Payne, when he was like yelling at the kids and he was getting in their faces, it was kind of like that, right? So I'm telling you something that you're already familiar with if you know what that movie is like, right? If you know what the movie Major Payne was about, then it was actually a pretty funny movie. But there's some moments where he's like getting in their face and he's like saying certain things, and but I will say, okay, it was like that, and then you're like, okay, I get it now, right? That's how you have to be with your ideal clients. They have to be able to understand what your brand is about, right? By using their minds and positioning yourself in their minds so that they get it. And so when I teach this, I'm really trying to make sure I teach this the right way, because sometimes when I teach this, people do the opposite of what I say. When I'm saying, okay, this is how you need to word things and this is how you need to position things, and then they go off and try to do it do it their way. It's so important, guys, to get your messaging on point, right? And to use words and language that your ideal clients can understand, and you use words that are appealing to them so that they can understand what you do, because no one is paying you if they don't understand what you do. Okay. No one is about to put out their credit cards and invest when they can't even figure out what it is you do. I tell this story all the time about how I know someone who I respect very much. And this person was selling something, and it was around about 2000 a $2,000 or more investment. And even though I know this person and I know that they do great work, based on the page that I was reading, I'm like, I don't understand what I'm getting. Like I did not pay for it because I'm like, love you much, but I don't understand what I'm getting with this investment. It just wasn't clear. And when a person is confused or they're not clear, they don't take any action. Okay. Even when I go into the store, the last time I went shopping for a TV, I went to Best Buy, and there were so many options that I ended up just leaving. There were just so many choices, and I'm trying to pick like the best TV, and like, and I'm just like, it's just too many choices. So I got exhausted and I ended up leaving, right? And then I ended up coming back the next day, like, okay, let me try to tackle this thing again, right? I was confused and overwhelmed, and so I did not buy anything. I'm like, it was just too many choices, and I had to go through too many specifications. And most people, they just go in there and buy something and just be on their way, right? Me, I'm looking at the specifications and like, what are the capabilities of this thing, and like how, so I'm all into it. And I probably made myself get overwhelmed. But you get my point. If a person is confused or they're not clear, they're not going to make a decision. Okay. So when you brand your expertise, it's about taking a complex message, because we're complex people, right? It's about taking a complex message and making it clear and simple so that your ideal clients can understand what you do and why they should choose you. Okay. So, in your game plans, the first key point is being an expert is not about how much you know, it's about how you position yourself. Okay. And then the second key point is branding your expertise is about making a complex message clear and simple so that your ideal clients can understand what you do and why they should choose you. Okay. And so that's what we're going to work on today. So now, if you got my email, you saw my email about when I said people are buying dirt. Okay. So I'm going to explain that in just a minute. Okay. I said that people are buying dirt. So a couple of years, I think it was last year. I don't know if I don't, y'all, like my timing, the pandemic has messed my timing up, right? Last week can feel like last month. So my timing is off. I apologize. But I went to the Corvette Museum, and I did not know that, like, people are so into certain things until like my son got very interested in trains, and I found out they have train museums and they have all kinds of things around trains for children and for adults. So it's the same way with like different cars. Like people are really into the cars that they love. So my husband was interested in looking at some Corvettes. So we went to the Corvette Museum. And so I'm walking through the museum and I'm just kind of, enjoying myself because the kids are occupied. So, and I'm an introvert. So I was getting my little quiet moment. I'm like, yes, This is great. The kids are just, doing their thing. So inside of that museum, there was an accident that happened where there was a sinkhole that swallowed eight different Corvettes in the museum. So the ground fell in, and 8 cars fell into the sinkhole. And so, I was kind of amazed by it because they actually still have the plate, you could actually look down and see where the sinkhole was at. So they made that a part of the museum, which I think is pretty brilliant. So it was like a really big thing. And it was all over the news and everybody was talking about it. And so I'm like, okay, wow, that was pretty interesting. So I'm walking through the museum and I get to the gift shop. I love souvenirs, y'all. Like, I'm a sucker for some souvenirs. So I go into the little gift shop and I started looking around at the souvenirs, and I noticed they were selling a little bottle of dirt about this big. A little bottle of dirt they were selling inside of the gift shop. And people were actually buying this dirt. Okay. And so I said to myself, look at this. They are selling dirt at the Corvette Museum. But guess what? The people were not buying just the dirt. They were buying the dirt because it was the dirt from the sinkhole. Okay. So they took the dirt from the sinkhole and bottled it up in little bottles. And people were buying the dirt from the sinkhole because of the historical nature of it, and because they're Corvette enthusiasts. They were paying for this dirt. Now, do you think people, let me know in the comments, do you think people would just buy a bottle of dirt just for no reason? Do you think anybody is paying for dirt? Well, actually, maybe a few people might. I don't know. Okay. What they were paying for was not the dirt just to be buying dirt. Exactly. I agree. They're paying for the story behind the dirt. Okay. This is what I mean by it's not about how much you know, it's about how you position yourself. Somebody said baby pregnant women. True. It's not about the dirt. It's about how the dirt was positioned. Are y'all getting this? Not about the dirt, right? It's about how they positioned the dirt that made people buy it. This dirt came from the sinkhole that you just walked by. Now, whether it did or not, whether it actually came from the sinkhole or not, nobody really cared, right? It's about how the dirt was positioned. Now, let me ask you a question. Let me know your answer in the comments. If they can sell dirt by positioning it the right way, do you think you can sell your products and services? Let me know in the comments. If they can sell dirt, do you think you can sell your products and services? Amen to that. It's not about what you know, but how you are positioned. Somebody said yes. Yes. Yep. Sure can. Somebody said sure can. Exactly. Exactly. So this is why the positioning, what you're doing, what you're providing, your positioning matters. Okay. And what matters is how it's positioned in their mind. Now, let's say the Corvette Museum, let's say they were the only ones who knew that the dirt came from the sinkhole, and they put this dirt out here on the shelves in the gift shop. Nobody would buy it because we don't know that this dirt came from the sinkhole. We just know that it's out here on the shelf, right? Listen, if you're just out there and you're selling and you're in the marketplace and you're selling and people don't understand your position or understand who you are, you're just like the dirt that's on the shelf that nobody knows where it actually came from, right? But we want your positioning to be on point so that when people see you, they're like, the people who you're called to, when they see you, they're like, oh my goodness, yes, this is what I need. This is who I need. Okay. Your brand, remember when I told you yesterday, your brand is an entire movement. And it starts with your message. Okay, so people have to know that and they have to be clear on that. Okay, so when you brand your expertise, when I say brand your expertise, I mean make a complex message clear and simple. Remember when I talked about how your brand is a promise? We're going to create that thing today. So because of your brand is a promise, and I want you to understand that it does two things for you. Okay, so in your game plans, branding your expertise does two things for you. Number one, it instantly positions you as an expert. Instantly positions you as an expert. Because when someone goes to your Instagram and they're like, oh, I see what this person does. Oh, okay, I got it, right? It positions you as an expert because now people can understand. Remember what I talked about is your brand lives in the minds of your audience or your ideal clients. And so whatever they're associating you with, that's what your brand is. But you have the responsibility of communicating the messages in the proper way so that in their minds they understand who you are. Let me give you an example. If you're constantly in front of your audience and you're sharing new content once a week and you're posting and they see you doing different things and you're on different podcasts and you're serving your audience on an everyday basis, they're going to think of you when they need that thing that you do. Okay, because your positioning is in, you're positioning yourself in the minds of your audience. You want them to think about you when they want certain things. You want them to think, oh man, you know what, I really need some help with writing my book. I really need some help. My health is not on point right now and I really need somebody to help me to pull it together. Or you know what, I'm trying to grow my team and I really feel like I'm lacking in leadership. I need to connect with somebody, a coach or a mentor is going to help me with that. You want them to think about you when that thing that you do comes up. Okay, so branding your expertise positions you as an expert instantly. The other thing that branding your expertise does is it attracts the right people to you because you're being specific. A lot of times when people, if I'm scrolling and I'm looking at a post and it says, um, men over 50, you can get your monthly checkup so we can figure out what type of vitamins you need to take. For me, I'm scrolling because that's not talking to me. But if the post says women entrepreneurs, then my antennas go up because I'm like, oh, that's me. That's what you want your ideal clients to do when they see your messaging. You want them to say, oh, that's me. You want them to raise their hand and identify with what it is you're saying. That's why you gotta be specific. Okay, you gotta be specific. This is not the time to be too broad. You have to be clear and specific because you want them to identify with what you're doing and with what you're saying. Okay. So what we're going to do today, we're going to work on creating your brand promise statement. And I call it a brand promise statement, but I also call it an expert positioning statement because it does both. It positions you as an expert and it also communicates your promise to your clients. So if you go to my Instagram page, it says that I help coaches build personal brands, create high ticket offers, and get paying clients. Very simple, very clear, right? So I'm going to give you a little tip. Clear is better than cute. If something sounds cute but it's not clear, go for clear. Because cute does not pay the bills. Clarity does. Clarity attracts money. When something is clear and people can grab onto something, that's attractive. When it's not clear, it's people aren't attracted to anything that's not clear, right? We don't like it. We listen, it's true. We fear what we don't understand. The other day, my husband was asking me to come into the guest room to look at something. And I was asking him, like, well, what's in there? Like, what are you trying to show me? What's going on in the guest room? Because I'm thinking it's like a big bug or something. Or I'm like, if he already know, like, if it's something like that, just don't even show me. Because I'll pack up and move. He'll come home and his house will be packed up and I'll be trying to move out, right? So because I didn't know like what he was trying to show me, I was just kind of like, what are you trying? Like it took me a good 3 minutes to walk about 15 feet because I was just like tiptoeing, like, well, what are you trying to show me? What's going on? And he was like, just come look. And I'm like, but what are you showing me though? Like, what's in there? And so because I wasn't clear about what I was seeing, I was really hesitant, right? People are the same way. If they're not clear about what you do and how you can help them, then they're going to be standoffish. Okay. I've actually had people ask me, well, what can you do for me? Because it was a genuine question. It wasn't like a nasty, type or mean type of question. This person was really like, well, what can you do for me? How can you help me? She really wanted to know, well, and you have to be able to articulate that. She was just like, well, how can you help me? What can you do for me? You have to be able to explain to people what you can do for them. Okay. You're basically communicating the value that you bring to the table. So when you bring your expertise, when you take that complex message, you make it clear and simple and easy to understand, it instantly positions you as an expert, and it attracts the right people to you. And we want the right people. Okay. So when you create your expert positioning statement, you want to communicate who you help. You want to communicate what you help them to do. And then you can add an optional so that. I'm going to give you an example in just a minute. So that way it doesn't sound crazy. So you can add so that in your statement to communicate better about what you do. So I'm going to give you some examples of some statements because we're going to create yours today. Okay. So one example, there's some examples in your game plan on the second page for today, but I'm going to give you some more. Okay. So example, I help busy entrepreneurs to get more done in the least amount of time. So clear and simple, right? I help work at home moms to balance business and family life. Now I'm going to give you an example with the so that, so you understand. I help divorced women over 40 to reinvent themselves and regain their confidence so they can find love again. Okay, so you can do the I help, and then you fill in the blank with who you help. Okay, and then if you want to, you can add a so that. Now, let me explain how you're going to create this. The first thing in your game plans, there is a process that's going to walk you through how to create your statement. So you want to be specific. Who do you want to help? Let me know in the comments. Who do you want to help? Do you want to help men? Do you want to help women? Do you want to help single parents? Do you want to help couples? Do you want to help moms, entrepreneurs, Christian entrepreneurs? Who do you want to help? Let me know in the comments. So you want to be as specific as you can so that people know that you're talking to them. Okay, so we got women. Perfect. Women. Okay. Perfect. Christian singles. Great. I love it. See? Very specific, right? So even with women, you could get even more specific. Now, you could just do women, or you can get even more specific. Let's say you want to help women, but you want to specifically work with moms, or you specifically want to work with women entrepreneurs, or you specifically want to work with single moms. You can even break women down and get more specific so that they know, okay, she's talking to me. Okay. So the other thing that you want to think about is what are their thoughts? How do they feel right now? What are their are they struggling with fear? Are they struggling with limiting beliefs? Let me know in the comments. Do they feel unqualified? Are they frustrated? Do they feel unheard? Do they feel like they're behind in life? Do they feel like they're not able to achieve their goals? What is your ideal client struggling with? What do they feel? What are their thoughts? Okay. Do they have a lack of confidence? Are they struggling with divorce? Are they struggling with getting older? Are they struggling because they feel like they have a lack of purpose? That was one of my struggles. When I told you when I got out of the Navy and I was like, oh my gosh, I need to figure out my life. What is my purpose? Why am I here? God, why did you create me? What am I supposed to be doing next? Okay. Frustrated, unheard, stuck, lonely, hopeless, tired, forgotten, burnt out women. That's great. That's great. And I'm telling you, I was just saying this the other day, and unhealthy, that if you're in the business space, or You're able to help people to cope with all of the stuff that the times have caused, such as stress, job loss, lack of confidence, frustration, and off balance family life. It's your time to shine, because not only has the pandemic caused a lot of people to leave the workforce in like record numbers, so that means some of those people are gonna be looking to start businesses. And for those of you who are serving in that capacity to help people in business in any way, it's your turn. Okay. The other thing is that those who are stressed out because maybe they lost their job, or maybe they lost a loved one from the pandemic, and they're trying to cope with life, or they're trying to figure out what their purpose is or what's next for them. If they need guidance, if you provide anything right now, which I believe that all of you do, if you provide anything right now that could be helpful to somebody to help them thrive right now, it's your turn. It's your time. Okay? So it's time for you to put this message together, put your offer together, and then lead, because we're all leaders, and we lead in the space where we're called to lead, right? So if you haven't seen yourself as a leader up until today, from now on, you need to see yourself as a leader, because people are going to be looking to you for answers in that thing that you do. Okay. This is what's really important. Now, I want you to think about, what do they want, you guys? I cannot emphasize to you how important this is to know. What do your ideal clients want? Do they want a business? Do they want to be fit? Do they want a new start? Do they want to write a book? Do they want to discover their purpose? Do they want time freedom? Do they want financial freedom? What is the thing that they want? This is really important. What do they want? Let me know in the comments. So if you have your game plan printed out, you can actually walk through each point in the game plan and create your statement. If you don't have it printed out, that's okay. You can still actually write it down on a notebook. It may take a little bit of time, okay, for you to get clear and figure this thing out. But today you can post your statement inside of the group. If you need help with your statement, just let me know that you need help with it, okay? Some of you are going to get your statement down and be like, boom, I got it. Some of you are going to be like, look, child, I'm trying to figure this thing out. I'm still, but if you give me something to work with, I can help you to pull it together. They want to achieve their goals. They want to be free. They want to reorient their lives. Okay. So knowing what they want is going to change the game, because this is the beginning of everything that you do. This thing that we're doing today is going to be the beginning of everything that you do. Here's why. If I say, okay, if my statement is, I help coaches to build personal brands. And if I'm in a conversation with somebody and they're telling me, yeah, I'm an entrepreneur, I sell eyelashes. Do y'all think I should pursue working with that person? I love this. Purpose while single, discovering themselves, finding joy in current state. That's good. Okay. Here's the thing. Once you figure out who you're called to serve, right? Who you want to help, and you're going to know, because you're going to feel a natural pull to them. I'm going to give you an example of how you know. You see your ideal client doing things. Exactly. Yes. Somebody said, not unless they're an eyelash coach. Exactly. Right? This is what I mean by, this is the beginning of everything that you do. Don't pursue a business relationship with people who are not your ideal client. You will be unhappy. You will be miserable. You will not be a happy business person. People think that niching down makes it harder for you to make money. It is so far from the truth. You got to be specific, and that's how you're going to be able to make more money. Don't be afraid to get very specific, because the more specific you get, then your audience actually becomes bigger. No one has the capacity to market to everyone. Okay? Listen, I hate to tell you this, but you're not called to everybody. None of us are. You got to be okay with that thing. Listen, I'm not called everybody. That's okay. I'm okay with that. People that shop at Nordstrom, they have, they have a different style or different preference than people who may shop at Belk or Dillard's. Okay. I shop everywhere. I'm everywhere, child. If something is cute, I'm buying it. I don't care if it's $5, $10. If it's cute or I think I'm gonna look good in it, then I'm buying it. Right. Someone says, I heard a podcast say, if your brand is for everyone, then it's for nobody. It is so true. When people think that their product or their service is for everybody, that's not good, because where do you go to find everybody? Right. But if you're like, okay, I want to work with moms, you can find Facebook groups for days full of moms, right? You know where to go to find your ideal client. This is why this is so important, because you're going to know where to go to find your ideal client. You got to be specific. Okay. So when you're figuring this out, when you're working through everything, you have to understand what they want, because if they want something different than what you can provide, it's a no-go. If I say I'm going to help, if I say I want to help women to get healthy, right? And I'm talking to somebody and they say, well, I just want to look good. That might not be my ideal client, right? Because this person just wants to look good and I'm trying to help them to get healthy first. A person who just wants to look good, they may not have the right mindset to work with you if you're focusing on their health, because they may not want to submit to the process of what it's going to take to get healthy, because they just want to look good first, right? Or maybe they want to hurry up and lose a certain amount of pounds, but maybe that's not your style. Maybe that's not how you do things. So this is the beginning of everything that you're going to do. It's going to help you to stay focused on your purpose. Remember when we talked about yesterday, we don't want to work with anybody who we're not called to work with. Don't be out here trying to work with everybody. One of my clients, she talks about how when we started working together, she raised her prices. She raised her prices and then picked up several new clients after the price increased. Several new clients. So she raised her prices and now she's okay with turning down projects, because she's like, listen, if you're not the right client for me, I'm okay with that, because other people are willing to pay me for my services and they're willing to pay me a premium price. And there are people who are willing to pay you a premium price for your services. You deserve it and you are worth it. So if you're undercharging or you're afraid to charge, that's where I come in, because this is something that I feel like now a lot of my audience is women of faith because of my background in ministry. Okay. I'm a woman of faith and I attract women, Christians, women of faith. And so a lot of times what I see is those of us who are in ministry, we have a hard time charging premium prices because we're so used to doing everything for free, right? We're so used to serving and we're used to just doing stuff for free. And then when it comes to charge, it's like, oh my goodness, like you can't even see yourself charging because you're just so used to just doing everything for free. Okay. But I'm going to give you a quick tip. Selling is serving. It is serving. We're going to talk about selling on Thursday. Okay. We're going to talk about selling on Thursday, but selling is serving. And if you're charging the way that you should charge, the more you charge, then the deeper you can serve. If you're charging someone $200 when you should be charging $500, you're going to have a hard time serving them the way that you could. For example, if you have a program, let's say you have a high ticket offer and your high ticket offer is $600 a month. And let's say you get 5 new clients. That's a nice chunk of income that you got coming in, and you can actually hire some help, right? So that you can serve better. You can hire experts to come in and you can hire people to help with certain things so that the experts can either help you to teach or help you to serve your clients. Or if you have a support team, they're freeing up time so that you can serve your clients even better. So the you have to price your stuff accordingly, right? So one of the first things that I do with some of my clients is raise. If they already have an offer, we're raising prices, because there is an idea that the money is that people can't afford it. If you're one of those people, you're like, oh, my clients can't afford it. Yes, they absolutely can. Okay, they can. Now we're not talking about you going and trying to charge a person who doesn't have food because they really can't get food, right? If you're supposed to be giving out food but you charge people, that's not what we're talking about, right? Here's the thing. There's a difference between what someone really needs and what someone wants. We invest because we want to invest, right? And in a sense, we need it. If you have a person who is telling you, "Oh, I can't afford your services," but they have a $300 hairdo, they can afford your services. That's just a nice way of saying, "Well, I don't want to pay for that." Okay? I had a person who I spoke to. She takes frequent trips. She has expensive hair. She has her nails done. She drives a nice vehicle, but yet she was like, "Well, I can't afford that." Right? And so that's her way of saying, you know what? She probably could, but that's just her way of saying, well, I'm not willing to give up money that I have or could have in exchange for that. But I promise you, there are people who will say, "Oh, that's what you're getting. I'm getting that for this amount." Oh, yes, I'm so in, right? Those of us who invest in ourselves, we look at value. There are different kinds of buyers. I'm a value buyer. That means I'm not worried about the price. I'm focused on what I'm getting, right? I'm thinking about, okay, what am I getting for this? Remember when I told you I couldn't pay because I'm like, I don't know what I'm getting. The $2,000 wasn't the problem. The problem was I don't know what I'm getting. Okay. You have value buyers, and then you have people who only focus on the price. They're just trying to find the cheapest solution that they can find. And those two kinds of buyers have different approaches to things. Right? So when I'm investing, I'm like, oh man, I'm getting that, I'm getting this, I'm getting this, I'm getting this. I'm not worried about the price, because if I really see the value in it, I will come up with the money. I will. If you tell me that I can get this for all of this for $20,000, I'm like, okay, I'm in. That's what a value buyer does. Okay. So as long as you understand the difference, when people are trying to undercut you and make you lower your prices, those are not your people. Your people are the ones who will say, yes, I'm in. And I'm going to just be honest with you. Things change when your prices change. My client who changed her prices, she's attracting different kinds of people now. I'm going to give you another tip to understand, right? Value buyers, we equate the price with the value with value. So if you come to me and you're trying to sell me a $27 product, I'm gonna be like, girl, I don't even have time to spend on something that's only going to give me $27 of value. I know this might not make sense, but to some of you, it is going to make sense, right? We equate value with the price. That's why your price is an extension of your brand, right? That's why your positioning got to be on point. Because when you say, okay, my program is $500 a month, that if it's a value buyer, they're saying, oh, okay, great. Well, what am I getting? What comes with that? Okay. Now, I'm not saying I don't buy $27 products, because I do, but most of the time, if I'm buying a $27 product, it's something that's going to save me time. If you say for $27, you can get 300 done for you emails. In my mind, I'm saying, ooh, 300 emails that are already typed up. And, you know, like, okay, I do my own emails. So I'm just give you an example. But I'm like, okay, that's gonna save me time. And that's when I would pay pay for, for a $27 product. Something that's quick that I know, oh man, I can just use this. But that's most of the time when you see me buying a product like that, it's something that's going to save me time. Some templates, something that's already done. And I'm like, okay, I can get this done. When I had one of the things inside of my academy, which I'll tell you about later on this week. So later on this week, I'm going to extend you an opportunity to work with me. However, I want you to get value out of this boot camp, whether you decide to work with me or not. Okay, I still want you to show up every day and get the information and go implement it. So one of the things inside of my academy is I have 300 posts that are already done, so that my clients can take those posts and they can create graphics out of them and use them. So if they wake up and they're like, oh, I need something to post. Let me find something. My brain is just a little frazzled right now. Let me find something inspirational that I can post. They have a list of 300 quotes that are already done. And so what I did when I hired a VA, I just gave her the list, and I was like, pick. But they all came from me, and I just told her because they're already in my voice, and I wanted her to start learning my voice, right? So I just gave her the list and said, here. You can make graphics out of these. You can post these. They're already in my voice. However, for my clients, I do tell them to make it your own words. Like if I use a word and you're like, I don't speak like that, make it like how you speak, right? But that's just something that it's like it's already done. It saves a lot of time. Now, those are the kinds of things that I'm like, okay, I'll pay $27 for that. Okay, so today I want you to go and create your positioning statement. Okay. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about, do you feel like you have enough information to go ahead and create your statement today? Let me know in the comments. So in your game plans, it gives you all of the process to walk yourself through so that you can really think this thing out. And I want you to spend a little bit of time on it. Don't let it like take up your whole day, but I want you to spend some time getting really clear and really specific about who you're called to. And be comfortable with that thing to where you're not chasing any and every little thing. You have to understand this is who God has designed me to be. This is what I'm doing. I'm on this mountain. I always tell my clients, own your mountain. When you're clear on who you're called to and what you help them to do, that's you standing on your mountain and saying, this is where I'm assigned to. And I'm okay not going to anybody else's mountain. I'm confident in who I am and where I'm assigned to. Okay. So another tip to understand is that a lot of times, if you're a coach or a mentor, a lot of time your ideal client is you a few steps ago. So that is how you can really get into their minds and understand, because you were once in the place where they are. Even if they're you one step ago, that's fine too. Okay. Don't think you have to know everything to get started, because I love this. You're going to grow as you go. Right? So if you're one step ahead of the people who are paying you, that's okay. Because guess what? You're going to constantly be in a place of growth. Okay. You're going to constantly be working on yourself and constantly be growing and getting better. So if you've been saying, well, I'm not enough, or I need this other certification, or I need to go here, I need to do that, you don't. You can get started right away. It does not take as long as you might think, right? Yes, business does take time. Business is hard. I'm not going to try to tell you that it's not. It's hard. And it does take time. But as far as you putting together an offer and making money, that does not take as long as you might think. Okay. Now, what I teach, I do teach on business all around, not just how to go out and make money. I teach on how to be in this thing for the long game. I teach on how to collect email addresses so that when you're ready to sell something, you can sell it anytime you want to. I'm teaching on how to build your brand and your business on a strong foundation. Okay. I teach principle that's going to last you. Okay. So I teach like all around, but I teach you how to make money too. But I want you to have the mindset of like, okay, I'm in this thing for the long haul. And yeah, we're going to get you to making money, but you're also going to build a business on a strong foundation. Okay. Okay. So you guys do have enough information. Okay. So after we're done here, after you get your expert positioning statement together, there's going to be a post inside of the group where you can actually post your statement. And if you need help, you can just tag me and let me know. Okay. Let me know, hey, this is what I got, but I'm still trying to figure this thing out. Okay. I'm trying to get it, all the way together. That's what I'm here for. I'm here to serve you all week. So if you're like, okay, I got this part and I got this part, but I need a little clarity. I will help you to get it clear. Okay. Somebody say exactly what I need. I'm so glad. I'm so glad that this is making sense. So, what today is about is really owning your gifts and owning what you're called to do. I cannot say this enough. Like, be comfortable with who you are and who you're designed to be. We don't have to look at what everybody else is doing and say, "Oh, I wish I was this far. I wish I was that far along," right? Because most of the time when we're doing that, we're just getting started, but we don't know this person has been doing this for 15 years, right? So we're comparing our chapter 1 to their chapter 15, and we think we need to have all of that stuff. We do not. You do not need a fancy system. You do not need a fancy website. You can actually get your brand messaging together, put your offer together, and hit the ground running and start getting clients. Okay. So if you're thinking, oh, you know what? It's November. Maybe by January, I can start getting clients. You can start getting clients as soon as you want to, as soon as you got your offer together. We're going to talk more about your offer on Thursday. So tomorrow, we're going to talk about how to amplify your authority. I'm going to show you how to create content that positions that builds your authority and that also positions you as an expert. We're going to talk about influence. We're going to talk about how to build trust, and I'm going to show you how to create content that when you're putting that content out, people are starting to see you as an expert. Because one of the hardest things that people, are trying to work out in their minds is, how am I going to get people to see me as this? Well, I used to be this, but how do I get people to see me as what I'm doing now? Like for me, when I got out of the Navy, it was, okay, how do I get people to see me not as a Navy veteran, but as someone who can help them to grow their businesses, right? So when you start sharing this content that we're going to talk about tomorrow, it's going to immediately change how people are seeing you, okay? Trina says, I have several gifts, but haven't really tapped into my niche. They're all creative ventures, but I'm all over the place. That's most of us, Trina. most of us are like that. We're all over the place. In this sense, some of your gifts are going to work together and complement one another. But in this case, I would say pick what you're most passionate about and start there. I always recommend starting in one space and then branching out. Okay. So for example, I have another business where I sell a barbecue rub that it started out as a recipe and is now a retail product. And that has nothing to do with my coaching, but at the same time, it does indirectly because I'm building another brand and I teach branding. However, that's something that's like totally different. But I started focusing on teaching and training and stayed that. And then I started to branch out. So that's what I mean by like starting in one area and then start to branch out. But I bet like a lot of your gifts complement each other. And you can probably pull from a lot of your different experiences and expertise and be amazing. That's one of the things that we talked about, Trina, on day one, how your gifts set you apart. Can I just tell y'all that all the stuff that we've ever been through, all the things that we've done and experienced, all the things that happened to us that we did not have control over, there's a reason for all of that. And it really equips you to be where you are now. Sometimes we forget that we're equipped for where we are. Sometimes we face an obstacle and we're like, how am I going to get over this obstacle? I promise you, if you take a minute and if you think about what have I been through in the past that has prepared me for this moment? What have I already gone through that has equipped me to deal with this situation right now? We forget about those things because some of them were not great experiences, right? And so it's like, oh my goodness, okay, I'm facing this thing and I can't see a way around it. I promise you the answer is already in you because there's something that you've done or something that you've been through that has prepared you for that moment. When I went to boot camp, I was great at marching already. Because when I was in high school, I was a drum major in band. And I did marching band for about maybe like 6 years. And then in my senior year, I was a drum major. And so when I get to boot camp, guess what? Marching every day, all day, right? I was already really amazing at it because There were some things that I experienced in marching band that prepared me for where I was, right? That's just an example, but there's some things that you've been through that have prepared you for right now. Remember when I told you business is hard? It's hard, right? Let me know in the comments how many of you have been through something hard. Yep, I remember Trina. Trina, y'all, Trina gave me my first pedicure. You remember that, Trina? Trina and I were in A school together. After boot camp, we go to what's called A school. And I I used to get my nails done all the time, but I never had an actual pedicure. Trina gave me my first pedicure. um, right. Okay. Sure have. Yep. I've walked through a lot. Yes, that's what I'm talking about, y'all. We have all been through some stuff. We've all been through some stuff. And that's what I mean by yes, business is hard, but you've been through some things and you're prepared to deal with this. You're prepared to face this. You are prepared to build a successful business. Yeah, it's like, yeah, it's hard, but listen, all this stuff that I've been through, I'm so ready for this and I'm so equipped for this. As a matter of fact, I've been through so much stuff, I deserve to be wealthy. I've been through so much stuff, I deserve to charge premium prices. Okay. So we really have got to get out of the mindset of like, nobody is going to pay me. Yes, they will. And they'll pay you premium prices. I'm telling you, I had a client, a former client, and we set her price for her program. And she was, working on getting clients. And she told me, oh, I got my first client. And then she said, I was just getting ready to lower my prices. And I'm like, I'm so glad you did not lower your prices. She was thinking it was the price. It wasn't the price. Right? Because listen, y'all, we have to understand this. If we don't make money, our businesses will fail. We have to make money. That means we got to charge for our services. Okay? We got to charge. Stop giving away all your stuff for free, especially the stuff that you had to pay to learn. The stuff that you had to pay to learn, pay with money, but also pay with time or pay with suffering. We got to stop letting that stuff go for free. Okay? We have things that we do for free, but the stuff that we do for business, that's not what we do for free. For example, I have to volunteer at my daughter's school. I got to volunteer at my daughter's dance school, right? That's something that I do for free. That's me volunteering, right? But what I do for business is not free, because guess what? The same people who complain about your prices being too high, they're the same ones that's paying $300, $400, $500 on getting their hair done. Okay, they're the same ones that's paying $100 on concert tickets, or all other things. Those are not your people. And I think that what happens sometimes, we think that everybody is like where we are and how we are. And like, for example, when the coronavirus was first struck, and it shook everybody, and it took time to really get on point, get back together, right? But I was seeing two different scenes, right? On one scene, I'm seeing, okay, people are losing their jobs. It's such a terrible thing to see people losing their jobs and not able to pay for things, right? But on the other side, I'm seeing people making more money in business than they ever have made before during the pandemic. So what could happen is you could either say, okay, all I'm seeing is people losing their jobs. And so you could think, well, I can't sell anything because nobody has any money because everybody's losing their jobs, right? But on the other side, if you're in a different circle and you're like, wait a minute, my buddy right here just made $1 million. She made her first million in the pandemic. This person over here just had her first six-figure launch in the pandemic. And so, do y'all understand what I'm saying by it's you can be conditioned by what you're seeing, right? And that's why I want you to understand that you can charge premium prices. However, if you're around people who are undercutting their services and they're discounting their prices, now I'm not talking about like a Black Friday type discount, that's different. But I'm talking about a person who's afraid to charge what their time is worth. And so they keep lowering their prices and they think they have to lower their prices to let people in. You do not. Because when you lower your prices to let people in, they're usually the headache clients. they usually give you a hard time because you lowered your standard, right? And now they're going to expect you to always lower your standard. I promise you, if you're watching me right now, you can charge premium prices, even if you're just getting started. Okay. All right. So today, I feel like I was supposed to tell y'all something, but I may have forgotten it because y'all know I get to going, but we have plenty more time together. So I will make sure we get everything covered. Tomorrow's about amplifying your authority. So today, the post inside of the group should already be up. You can go in there and post your statement, and let me know what your expert positioning statement is, and let me know if you need help. And then I will see y'all. For those of you who are inside of the group, I will see you inside of the group. So if you know, to help you with your statements, and I'll see you back here tomorrow at the same place and at the same time for session 3. And then we're going to continue out through the week, and then we're going to be doing some bonus sessions over the weekend. Okay, so a lot more to come. That's why it's so important to let me know what you need to hear. If you need to hear more about sales, if you want to hear more about branding your expertise, ask me, send me a message or post it inside of the group, and I can make sure I cover it in our bonus sessions. Okay. All right. Well, y'all have a wonderful Tuesday, and I will see you back here tomorrow. Okay. Have a great one. See you soon.